Hey everyone, Suzi here, and today we're playing Watcher of Realms. For today's video, we're going to take a look at Xena Dragon's Kiss. She is on this week's banner. Alright, so this video is going to be a first look, first impressions, reading through her kit, talking about where I think she might be good or not. And at the end of this video, I will read the lore. So, genuine first impressions, we have to start with the visuals. And she's a little cheesy, I would say, like with the weird skeleton bra, but I like it. I can dig it. Her eyes and hair are really interesting. We have to take a look at the visuals, right? That's a big part of this game. Yeah. Simple but nice shoes. I like all the infernal glow around her. She's obviously an infernal hero. Her weapon is pretty sweet. I get zoomed back out. Let's see. It's really hard to zoom on PC. But yeah, that's pretty sweet. I do like the weapon a lot. Okay. But she looks interesting, so I'm sure she has an interesting story as well to go with this whole fallen angel look. So she is a fighter who deals magic damage. So again, we always think that might be a good fit for Gear Dungeon 2. I guess we will see. So is Xena, with the blood of Raton Bar flowing through her veins, wields unparalleled fire power. She can inflict burning and deal true damage. So her notes here are single target attack and continuous damage, and she does have an extended range of 3 toke. Okay, I like that. When you max her out, it does not look like promotions give her any extended range. Not like, 4 or 5, like some of them. Okay, good to know. So, her base attack is 6,400. Pretty standard, not crazy, right? But not terrible either. HP 27,000 and 2,200 defense. Her cost is 17, and of course block is 2. Attack interval 2.6. Rage regen auto 13. Okay, always about that. So, I'm really curious for this one because I haven't really heard many people talk about her. I don't think she's overly hyped or like people are overly excited about her. So let's see why. Is she a little bit underwhelming or maybe a little too niche? I'm not sure. So talent, when deployed, increases the hero's attack by 20% and all damage reduction by 30% for 30 seconds. Okay, increases her attack and damage. All right. Attacks also inflict burning on hit targets. Reduces the cost of the hero's first deployment by 6. Oh, nice. So she's just constantly inflicting burning right away. So, I mean, it is in the infernal faction, right? Burning kind of goes hand in hand. Cost of the hero's first deployment is reduced by 6. So she only costs 11 when you first place her. So if she can do solid damage, she could also be a good fit for arena because she'd be really cheap to place early and start knocking out some damage. But I guess it depends on what you need to pair with her. So let's keep reading. Magic attack is just a simple one enemy, 100% magic damage. Okay, fair enough for the basic. All right, ultimate. Activates when deployed, increasing attack by 30% and crit damage by 80%. Doesn't she already boost her attack by 20% with her talent? So, okay. So she boosts her attack by 50%? It's a little bit weird. Why would it be separated like that? Okay, that sounds crazy if that's true. The damage goes up here with the skills. Each attack deals 130% damage to up to 5 enemies in range. The fewer targets hit, the higher the damage dealt, up to 260%. This skill can only be triggered 1 time per deployment. After the effect duration ends, reduced attack range to 1 tile ahead. So she's the kind of hero you want to drop down, blast quickly, and then take her up. And then plop her down again, take her up, plop her down again, take her up. So to me, this reads so far Guild Boss 1, Drake's Chasm. If you're using Pyros, Twin Fiend, or Soul Cadence with Laurel in one of those teams where you're swapping out heroes, she could intentionally be one of the heroes that you're swapping out when you drop Laurel, like blast, or use Laurel's, drop Laurel, take her out, and you're swapping in other heroes as well to do that, right? She could be one of the heroes that gets placed in between times, in between the Laurel deployments, I would think. Because it sounds like she's better when you're redeploying her. Okay. Deployment time is typical 60 seconds. Nothing fancy there, right? So I'm wondering, how is this with Arena, though? I don't know, maybe this would be good enough for Arena if you plop her down as one of your first heroes to start killing things quick. And then you pull her up, which will get you half your cost back. And then you can place someone else that's going to be the more permanent person. I'm curious if this could work in an interesting Arena comp as well. Oh, and then Gear Dungeon 2, right? Gear Dungeon 2, we're usually alternating between magic and attack. Or attack, physical. For which DPS you really need to take out the Volca bosses. So if you save the spot for her on like the top there where the magic one comes down behind a tank, right? You could plop her down, blast that Volca boss, then take her back up when you know the boss is dead and good to go, and then you know it's coming back, you know, the bosses alternate between magic and physical. Okay. So there is definitely, I think that's the intention, right, for this kit. It's a weird one. Let's see. The passive, when attacking targets inflicted with burning, deals an extra 2 damage equal to 20% of the hero's attack 1 time. The more stacks of burning the target is inflicted with, the higher the damage dealt, up to 40%. Okay. And then permanently increases the hero's damage by 10% with each deployment, up to 40%. Okay. So the more times you deploy her, the more damage she does. So she's definitely intended for that. So yeah, I feel like this is a niche hero that you would use for a Guild Boss team, a Drake's Chasm team with Laurel, with that strategy where you're purposefully redeploying people. And then, yes, of course, Gear Dungeon 2, where you're alternating DPS between magic and physical. As the battle ends, she's going to do more and more damage. It's going to make it easier and easier to kill the bosses when things get stressful. So sounds like a really good fit there, but with everything with that, she doesn't sound like an all-round fighter at all, right? Like, you don't want someone who gets worse if they just stay on the field. Like, you're not going to use someone like that to push your campaign if you're early on, to do the hard campaign stages, or to do Void Rift either, because, I mean, unless it's one of those stages like the Chapter 9 style stages in Void Rift where you can catch the boss as he comes around the bottom left corner, and you could blast him with her, kill him, take her out. You'd have her in like Soul Cadence or Pyros or whatever at the bottom, and you attack that boss with them, pull them out after the boss is dead, and then you can reposition them on the other side. But again, that's a little bit even too niche for that, I think, because once you're done killing the boss, the battle is slow, and those guys take forever to come out, and you're probably going to want to have a fighter that's just going to, or mages that are just going to stay in position and keep attacking. So I don't know that I even like it for that. So maybe it is niche. Maybe that's why people aren't as excited, because it sounds a little too niche. But let's see what her awakenings are all about. Awaken 1. During the ultimate, the hero's attack deals an extra 90 to 180% damage based on the number of targets hit. Okay, well that's huge. No big deal, let's just add a crap ton of damage to our ultimate. Yeah, that sounds needed. If you are gonna go for her, because you do need help in those places, right? If you really do need a Gear Dungeon 2 magic damage dealer, you're lacking in strategies, and you like to use, I guess you could be using the others to, I don't know. See, I'm like, is she gonna be good with like focus fire and all that as well? Or not really, because she's staying on the field. I question whether or not she's really that usable. The more I think about her. I mean, definitely, again, definitely for Gear Dungeon 2. Yeah, just, I don't think you need to worry in Gear Dungeon 2. You would just use her as a magic damage dealer. You wouldn't necessarily stress about having the Lord, I would think. But of course, if you're doing only normal guild boss, Drake's Chasm, I mean, you're gonna want this Awaken 1. That's huge damage increase. Okay, so Awaken 2 is attack plus 300. Awaken 3. When receiving fatal damage during the ultimate, enters unyielding for 5 seconds and dies immediately when it ends. The hero cannot be healed during unyielding and cannot be revived after it ends. Okay, so this would be maybe where that arena idea comes in. She's cheap to place the first time. You plop her down, you let her do some damage, you let her proc her unyielding, and you pull her out. And then you set up for the rest of your team. So that's definitely possible now that I see the Awaken 3. So I had, and then Penetration plus 8 for Awaken 4, 8%. And Awaken 5 is during the ultimate, each attack inflicts magic reduction, magic resistance reduction on the targets, which is a minus 15%. That's pretty low, right? But, oh yeah, it's the resistance, not damage reduction I'm thinking of. So that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so yeah, that's definitely gonna help her do more damage, but is she the kind of hero you're gonna pull for 6 copies of and go crazy? I don't think so. I don't know, I don't think so, guys. There's still so many interesting characters coming out. There's Tallulah. There's that Beelzebub we're still waiting on. We know at the beginning of the year, Chinese New Year, there's rumors of that Sun Wukong, right? Which will be a while, though. But still, I don't think you would go crazy for her. Maybe just try to get an Awaken 1, so that's a lot of extra damage, if this is really a hero you want. But, alright guys, that's kind of my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm gonna cut out with the lore here now. Blood and Fire. Blood and fire pull her spirit from the mire. Pyros' incantation. In the aftermath of the immolation, when the landscape of Tyia bore the scars of the great dragon Raton Bar's fury, desperation gripped the 2 who survived, Pyros, the infernal shaman, and General Rex. Pyros found himself at wit's end, but as he gazed upon Rex's sword, slick with the blood of Raton Bar, an idea took root in his mind, one that defied both logic and the tenacious trust of his ally. With the blood of the dragon, Pyros envisioned a creation, a weapon of flesh and flame, bound by the essence of Raton Bar, but driven by a human heart. Against the fervor and protest of his comrade, Pyros performed a demonic alchemist ritual, using the foul dragon's blood as a catalyst to call forth a demon that had been lying dormant since long before the fall of Acadia. Her name was Xena, the dragon's kiss. Xena's wings were the color of freshly spilled blood, their span casting an ominous shadow that heralded her presence. Her creation was a blasphemous fusion of mortal and monster, designed for one supposed purpose, to hunt and destroy Raton Bar. In truth, Pyros aimed to use his new creation so that infernal blast might gain control of the titanic dragon. What he did not account for, however, is that very blood that granted Xena power also tethered her to the dragon, creating a bond that muddied her purpose and filled her with unfathomable turmoil. Born of fire and conflict, Xena was swiftly trained by Pyros in her humanoid form as he molded the demon into a warrior capable of challenging the infernal dragon. Yet, every encounter with Raton Bar brought forth a cacophony of emotions within Xena. She could feel his presence, a silent whisper in her mind, as if the dragon acknowledged her as kin. This connection tormented her, making each battle a crucible of conflicting loyalties. Day after day, Xena wrestled with the fragments of Raton Bar's consciousness that echoed in her thoughts, sowing seeds of doubt, fear, and admiration. In time, the pull of Raton Bar's destructive desires became too enticing for the young demon to ignore, and she too sought to ascend to his catastrophic level. And so, to Pyros' searing chagrin, Xena pulled away from his hold to seek out Raton Bar. She now roams Taya as a rogue agent of the infernal blast, intent on finding the one whose blood pumps through her veins, in the hope that she might join him in a great conquest of fire and ash.